Welcome to the Wally Report.
Listen, we've returned once again for another earth-shattering episode, baby. The Wally Report has been deemed the hottest entertainment podcast in Hollywood, and we couldn't be more excited. Today, we're joined again by our new rising star co-host. If you somehow missed our last episode, Bronco Benjamin Shea Mower is a DIT, a writer, a producer, and a director. And now he happens to be an official member of the illustrious Wally Report co-host cast. So with all that, Bronco, how are you doing today?
Feeling blessed, man. Feeling blessed. I'm so honored to be a part of this. It's so fun.
And so I know you kind of said it there, but how does it feel coming back knowing this is not your first, but now your second Wally Report show? Like, are you like losing it?
I feel like this is what it must be when someone gets a star on the Walk of Fame. That's how I feel right now.
I mean, this is big time. You've really stepped up. You're a new beloved member of the show. A lot of the fans are saying, can Christopher, can John bring you on permanently? We want Bronco. So listen, we had to give the fans what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm here for y'all. I'm here for the fans.
Yes. Okay. So if everybody knows, because they've listened to a lot of sods at this point, we always start with our hot topics. I will go first, and then we'll see what Bronco brings to the table. Now, for people that know me and know what I like and know what I dislike, because I've ranted about a lot on socials, and I've ranted about it on the show, today marks a glorious day in our year, okay? Daylight savings, baby.
Oh,
dude. I don't know if you've been around for my rants. So I'm a huge daylight savings time guy, okay? For people that are new to the show, yeah, see, you're giving me that look because you're not educated on it, obviously. So standard time, just so you know, was what just ended. Standard time is shame. Standard time is for Barneys. Standard time is miserable. Standard time is when it's dark early. Okay, I hate that. When I was in Vermont and it was 5 degrees and I was a kid, I guess it didn't really matter because you're fucking stuck inside. But when you live in California and it's an endless paradise, you don't want fucking standard time. Okay, so we've tried to pass it multiple times and it didn't get passed to have permanent daylight savings time. Okay,
cool.
So I love it when it's daylight saving time because it's light later. I'm not an early morning Barney. I don't like when it ends. Your day ends by the first errand you fucking do when it's dark at 4:45. It needs to be dark at 7, 8 o'clock. It's so now finally, and I obsess about this. I literally count down the days on the clock every year, waiting for us to get out of hell, and we're finally there. It's going to be like almost to 7 o'clock tonight. I'm going to be less pissed. This is unbelievable. Any other feelings on this? You can't like when it's standard time either.
No, I just don't like losing an hour because I have these 2 little kids that keep me up, and you know what I mean? So like we woke up at what was supposed to be 6, but it was already 7. Thank God it's a Sunday and we can just say we're on our own time. But I grew up in Utah. And I'm with you, dude. In Utah, in the summers in Salt Lake City are unbeatable. And it would be light enough outside at like 9:30 at night. And it's still chill. It's like
that
dusk.
Late? Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
So I want to I want to go back to your comment about the losing the hour. I get it, but it's the small price to pay to have 8 months of heaven. I don't care about your losing the hour one time. I mean, that's ridiculous. I know. Thought that's a negative maybe when you're like in high school and you don't know what the hell's going on. I get your point. But now we lose 1 hour, we get 8 months of joy. Now, what I'm proposing is we keep this time zone permanent.
Yeah.
So then you never go back and forth. And then at least in the winters, it's dark at 6. It's not dark at 4:48. It still would be dark early, but you see what I mean? It wouldn't be as horrible to where we're like locked inside and devastated and kind of like, what the fuck is happening? Anyway,
yeah, but it's morning darkness. Morning darkness is different. Like morning, if you ever wake up at like 4:35 a.m., that morning dark is
Yeah.
just kind of strange, spooky.
Well, the funny thing that you bring up that is that's the one comeback from the standard time goons that I call them, the standard time Barneys that I've deemed them. They claim that if you don't go back to standard time, it's too dark for certain parts of the year for the kids really early in the morning. But I say, come on, baby. It's way better to have it light later than worrying about being a little bit dark when you're getting ready at fucking 7:15 in the morning. Anyway, you can see
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen all. I've gone crazy on Instagram posting about this. It's the one political movement I get behind
Oh,
is that
nice.
keep daylight savings permanent. We even had
Nice.
a fan come on and say, "Well, we'd screw the farmers," but I'm saying screw
Why
the
don't you
farmers,
just move to
baby.
Arizona, dude? Just move to Arizona or Hawaii.
No, but
They don't even do it.
I gotta double check it though. I think they fucking have it flipped, dog. I think Hawaii has standard time permanent. So,
Oh.
so which blows my mind that they, a place where you think it's endless summer, have endless winter hours. It's terrible. Let's double check that though. I
Yeah,
don't
but they're
like
so
it.
close to
Is
the
there?
equator that it's probably equal sun and night like year round.
It's not clean, dude. It's not clean. Anyway, all right. There's my big hot
All right. All
topic.
right. We digress. We
What
digress.
Yes, that's fine. What do you go with? What
Well,
is the
so
Bronco hot topic?
I chose to be radically brave and vulnerable with you over text message a couple weeks ago. And I told you that, we have a little bit of an age gap, but I didn't have HBO growing up. I had never seen Sopranos. And
Yes, yeah, that's shame. Yes,
right, it's a shame because
I mean, I didn't watch it right away either. If you listened to my clean, you did actually listen to episode 1, not to cut you off, but I listened to it later. Oh, wait, continue.
yeah. So I watched it, like 4 episodes. I binged them right in a row, and The Wire's way better, way better, way better.
That's sleaze, dude.
No,
That's
it's
terrible.
not, dude. It's way better.
We've only watched 4 so far.
Yeah,
We've only watched 4.
yeah. But that's my hot.
Okay.
That's my hot take. The Wire is way better.
Okay. So first of all, you got to keep going because
will.
I rewatched the beginning of season 1 a couple months ago too, and it was like it still was amazing, and I love the characters, but it did seem like starting to get a little bit dated by like the fight scenes and the sound effects, and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't from 1999, and it maybe wasn't as amazing. And I came on and said the same thing about Breaking Bad's better for any, but then I will retort and go again. I mean, it is on my list to rewatch The Wire because there's so many annoying people that put it on their Mount Rushmore. I got through multiple seasons and I felt like I was barely watching a better Law and Order, and I was very disappointed. So I need to revisit it. Yeah. But I think you're crazy for saying that, and I think it's unjust.
Well, I'll take that. I'll take that. We'll let it disagree. But I want to kind of splice this with like this late 90s era because as you've talked about multiple times, this is what changed television. The late 90s, Sopranos did it all, right? And then you listed the rest of them on your list. But also what we don't talk about is that the late 90s were the pinnacle, in my opinion, of movie making. The absolute pinnacle. We had reached a level of practical effects that is jaw-dropping. Like you go back and you watch some of those late 90s action movies. I'm talking like Twister, Independence Day 97, like some of those huge blockbusters, and the practical effects on that were mind-blowing. And then George Lucas comes out with these prequels and he sets us back 20 years, in my opinion. Like that could be my hot topic, is that George Lucas fucked us.
Well, I mean, but episode 2 and 3 are very, very clean. I mean, if there wasn't for Jar Jar Binks, I would have loved all of them, right? But you're just mean that he went into this new era of green screen, and it's almost
digital
funny. Is I wish that they could almost redo those 3, but with modern day effects, and it would be like a whole nother level of because I still like the movies. I'm a Star Wars Barney, but anyway, I see your point. But we had to, because now look how everything it looks good now.
But right? Now they're using practicals like to augment the digital, the visual effects, right? So now we're kind of in this hybrid world, which is awesome. but
Mm,
it took us 20
okay.
years to get there, and it's George Lucas's fault.
But I mean, but you're a big George Lucas and Star Wars guy, though, at the same time, right? But you're just such a technical. I mean, we had to do it eventually, right? We couldn't
Yeah,
have
for
continued
sure.
that way.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's probably that argument of like VHS, beta disc, DVD, Blu-ray. What was HD DVD? You know, there's like
Yeah.
there has to be a shift, and whoever leads that shift is gonna get some shit.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I mean, but I do want to go back to your Sopranos comment. I like how you listened to the first Wally Report episode. Now, and I will cite again that and even when, if you, and I know you listened to the Todd Kessler episode recently, who
Mm-hmm.
worked on the show, and he even said, right, when he working with David Chase, that it was the first time they were trying to get like film quality stuff in a show, right? I mean, and so that changed that changed the whole trajectory of the world that we're living in now.
Yeah,
Right
and
now,
they shot on film, which is awesome. Which I didn't know, and I had to look up, and that's really cool because it was, for all intents and purposes, again, I was like 13, but it looked like they were shooting hour-long movies, 13-hour-long movies,
right.
which is rad.
So I say go back. You got to get through the first season. And
Also,
then
his
really,
mom, dude, like his mom makes me like have an allergic reaction. I start to like
you got to get through
itch.
the mom stuff. I don't want to give anything away, but just trudge through the mom storyline. And by seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like pure heaven. I watched it later too. I didn't watch it when it was out, but I still watched it quite a while ago. So I'm also remembering from my 10-year ago, 15-year ago brain, which isn't as critical as I am now. So I'm remembering it in a different time, but I do remember it being like one of the greatest of all time. Okay.
The other thing that you talked about that I went back and watched is the Curbed, like the original Curbed special. And that was
Can you give it up for a player now?
That was pretty funny. Like the whole
you watched that? You watched the special? Oh, it's so clean, dude. It's so
pretty
clean.
funny. It's pretty funny.
It's not. It's fully different. It's not a sitcom anymore. This is a new, groundbreaking type of like unscripted comedy format. It's wild.
And I didn't understand how, because like we talked last time about The Office, Arrested Development, and the through lines, right? Like how you set something up in the beginning, and then by the end, like the first and last frame always match in a movie usually. And Larry David nailed that through line so hard with like the stepdad blame. Anyway, I mean, it's 25 years later. God. We can give it away, but like blaming everything on his stepdad was so funny, dude. I was dying.
Yeah. I mean, and it really. I started listening to the Curb podcast recently. They went back through that. Everything they set perfectly in that special. It became the show later. So now that you've seen that, now I would, even when you have time, watch the first 5 because they're the best, man. I mean, it takes. I think it's really season 2, 3, 4 that really starts hitting the stride, but 1 is pretty fantastic.
And I think that's the
So let's go into industry news and hot topics, special Wally Report topics. I got a couple for you. And speaking of, I did actually go back and watch some stuff that you said. I'm not going to mention it all now. I'm mostly just here to say, 1 was enjoyable, but wasn't great. What was that other British one? CB Strike. It was okay. It was a little too like top 40 mainstreamy.
Disneyland.
Yeah, too like regular networky. But it was like I got through 1 sode and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bail. I mean, it's like it's a DNF. It's a did not finish, but it was okay. Then I did try Fall Guy. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my. Remember how I was bashing modern day comedies? I was like, everything is shame, and we at least agreed Palm Springs is just. And then you're like, what about? Oh, and we argued about what is that fucking date night annoying
game night.
Then you said, and then game night. Yeah, well, you see, I can't even get the title right. It's so sleaze. Now,
shame.
Then you said, what about Fall Guy? And at the time, I was like, what the fuck is it? And I was like, I just remember I said, I don't think so. And so I went back and was like, okay, Gosling, and we needed a movie. So we watched it. And now, listen, I'll give it to you. It was actually pretty fun. It was actually entertaining. I didn't hate it. But
Oh my god.
it was but it ended up being way too action movie theater cheesy. It was like, I don't like, can't like, I'm not a Friday night go have fun and eat popcorn in movie theater guy anymore. And
Okay.
it was tailor made for like
Summer.
that. So I was, yeah,
No
it was
cares in the
like,
world.
I would have liked it when I was like 18 and
Sure.
stoned and like,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, bro, we need a movie Friday. And like, yeah, I mean, there was funny parts. I liked Gosling. I liked Emily Blunt in it. Overall, it was entertaining. I do say the action was actually unbelievable for more of a comedy. So I like that they did that. Overall, I liked it, but I definitely wouldn't say it's great. It's barely on the good borderline. I give you
Wow.
probably, like, if I had to rank it, I'd give you like a 71 or something. Not in
Okay.
the 60s,
Right.
but definitely like under, classified hot, but it was still like a decent watch, so I'll give it to you. But it definitely wasn't comedy is back by any means.
No,
Just
of
so
course.
you, just so you know.
you were talking about like an era that doesn't exist anymore, you know.
Right. Yes. Okay, that was my first one. I just had to at least say.
I
at
appreciate
least
that.
tried.
No, I
went
appreciate
back.
that.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one that's a little bit interesting, and I know I'm a little bit older than a fella, so I don't know if this means as much to you, but there is rumors right now that a new Goonies is being made. Spielberg, Spielberg producing, which I'm a little bit bummed. It's like, fucking man, direct it, dude. I don't care. When someone like a famous director is producing and you see his name attached, you're like, but then someone else is directing. You're like, I do got to say, though, it's very exciting. I like this because I like anything from my 80s heyday and bringing it back, because Goonies is a quintessential movie in everybody's top 10 of greatest 80s movies ever, at least
I think
from
the
our
house
childhood.
is still there in Oregon. The house is still there.
Oh, okay, you know about it. Clean. But here's my one thing, and then I want to get your thoughts. Is they got to do this justice though. You can't fuck up a Goonies too. You know what I mean? This is too like this is like one of those movies like a Ghostbusters or a Karate Kid. It's on that level of iconic 80s all-time adventure kid movies. Please don't screw it up in any way. What are your thoughts? Are you excited about this?
Don't screw it up. And what I mean that kind of through lines back to my hot take is that they built a pirate ship for that movie. They built a pirate ship.
Oh, yeah.
A physical pirate ship. They made that thing. They didn't VFX it. They didn't CGI it. They made that. And then the kids, when they all saw it, those reactions were real. And so don't screw it up.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah.
Build something big like that. Give us some genuine reactions.
I will say that the newer Ghostbusters was actually pretty good. I didn't of course, think it was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen, but it was surprisingly decent. So if they could do the new Ghostbusters and not ruin it, and still remember they had, I don't know if you saw the new Ghostbusters, they had some of the original guys that at least had cameos.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you got to maybe have cameos, maybe from the original.
Josh Brolin in there. Get Brolin in there lifting weights,
and then hopefully it's their new their grandkids, or I guess it would even be like their grandkids at this point. If it was the kids doing another new Goonies type adventure, you got to have some of those. Wait, Feldman's in it. Corey Feldman was in the original Goonies?
Feldman.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to bring it up as, we always talk about TV shows here. I'm against a lot of the modern film, but just for your sake, because I know you're still a film Barney. You're still trying to live the dream. So I like to at least if something exciting like this comes up, we got to talk about it. Okay. Let's move on to my next one. Here's just another one that I'm finding that I love. I got really sick of every fucking streaming service besides Netflix, who drops it on weird days, but a lot of the streaming services, Showtime and fucking HBO and everybody else, always makes you wait to Sunday for a goddamn show. And I'm always a little bit depressed when it's fucking Sunday, because I have to work the next day. And I'm like, and so I always plus I'm not going out like I used to. I don't give a shit about Friday and Saturday night, and I have to go out to some annoying fucking bar.
You were a big Friday night guy. Friday night was your night, dude. You used to be Mr. Friday night.
Yeah, because because you knew that you could sleep in multiple days after going to, I was a big Friday night guy. But now I'm at home. Well, I'm not fucking doing anything. So I love how, and this will obviously be a theme here, but I just got to say, I love how they've been putting out Severance on Fridays. Have you noticed that? That it's a
Yeah.
Friday show. So that
Yeah.
you like at home, now you have something to do over the weekend. You don't have to sit and wait till
Yeah.
Sunday for your goddamn shows. So I don't know. How do you feel? What do you think about this big? Because I think they just know in the streaming world, anybody's going to watch it on any night now, or they're going to watch it 2 nights later when they can catch up anyway. Who cares when it comes out?
Yeah. Well, we talked about this last episode. It used to be you would have to watch it at 7 o'clock Eastern time on this channel, or you would miss it. You would maybe catch part of a rerun randomly, but that was it. It was gone after that. And so they're probably coming back to this like tune in Fridays and watch Severance. We're going to talk about that a little bit toward the end of the show, I'm sure, because it's probably on both of our top fives. But Severance and we're estranged right now. I'm having some feelings about Severance.
Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, I like it. I wanted to bring it up. I know other shows sometimes come out Tuesday. They're sort of doing that now where some comes out Tuesday and Thursdays, but I just like, no one I think has done a Friday. And I'm like, I like this because now I got something to look forward, because I'm not going out. What the hell am I doing? If anything, I'm looking forward to my Friday night show. So
I'm telling you, we put our kids to bed. We watch the show. It is awesome. It's such a good feeling to look forward to that on a Friday night.
Yes. So with that, let's take a quick break from our sponsors. Okay, baby. And we are back to the show. Let's continue on. I got a couple other industry topics. This isn't over, baby. I know people want the top 5, but we got a lot of stuff to discuss here today. Just another thing. I know I brought it up last time that Uma Thurman was attached to the new Dexter cast. I'm counting down the days for Dexter Resurrection in the summer. You know he's coming back, right? You know that Michael C. Hall is coming back as Dexter. I don't know if you're caught up on what happened on Dexter New Blood. It was a terrible ending. I'm not going to, if you don't know, oh man, you're not.
Endings
you're
are
not
hard,
caught
dude.
up, Barney.
Endings
That's
are
shame. So I'm just bringing up the news that they've now, and also because Dexter Original Sin has been such a letdown. I haven't even finished it yet because I just can't get through it. So they just announced that Kristen Ritter has also been cast as another Dexter villain who's like a serial killer. If you don't know her, she's from Breaking Bad, Jesse's girlfriend, and that whole thing that breaks your heart. And then she's also Jessica Jones. I'm a huge fan of hers. I think she's perfect because she's so good at playing sort of like that evil bad girl, if you will. I can just already see it, and I can see now Dexter has Uma Thurman here. He's got Kristen Ritter, and I'm like, okay, I think now I'm feeling better. They're going to save the fucking franchise. This is going to be clean. How do you feel about this booking, this casting?
Dude, that's pedigree. That is pedigree. Those are long running acclaimed actors. That's going to be a hot show.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope. But the thing is, I'm still slightly worried. Is it Original Sin? You have fucking Christian Slater. You have all these people that are actually in it, and it still wasn't great. So I'm like, oh God, okay, let's hope you don't blow this. Because I'm still worried about the clutches of Paramount.
Yeah.
Controlling the Showtime shows. And I'm like, if you make another CBS, if you make another low budget CBS feeling Dexter, I'm going to riot.
We had different opinions about The Agency, right? But in The Agency, you liked it. I think you gave it like a 70 something.
You know what's so funny is I still haven't even finished it, bro. What a shame, right? What a shame, guy. Because I had to jump in the February stuff because that's what we're reviewing today, right? And so it's still on the list of finished. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, continue. But I thought that one was okay. I'm more talking about what they've done with Dexter.
Yeah, and I believe in that, man. I mean, you get those great people together, and they're gonna make something really fun happen. They're going to just be fun to watch. And that's what it comes down to is like, I want to watch these people. That's what you need in a show is the audience just going, I need to see what they're going to do.
So anyway, I'm hoping that now with these decent actors around Michael C. Hall, something great's going to happen. Okay, next one. All right. This is still, I don't think he's officially cast. And we were just talking about this offline, but I think it sounds very interesting to me. I'm trying to get excited about some film in the future. So DiCaprio is now he's slated to be cast in the new Evel Knievel movie. Damien Chazelle, is that how you say it? Is the director who did Whiplash, which I'm a huge Whiplash fan. Now, as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
Evil Knievel was like the biggest fucking thing. I mean, and I don't really know. This is why it's cool to me, because I don't actually know the real story. I just remember we had toys and we were always like,
Yeah.
oh, Evil can jump over this shit and he's crazy. And then I think he even had like, didn't he have his son do stuff later too, like a whole Knievel
Robbie.
family? But I'm wondering. Yeah, see, you know this maybe more than I do. All I know is that I loved him as a kid. He was like this iconic figure. I don't know. So now this makes it this. I love that if we already know it's a great director. I don't know if, of course, the script is amazing, but just Leo and anything, you're pumped.
Yeah.
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I feel like it could be perfect because he can do that character so well of like this. And I just, I think it's going to focus on what I'd read about it earlier. It's going to focus on maybe one of the big stunts that didn't work, which already gives me
Sure.
anxiety.
Yeah.
So they better give me a couple stunts in the beginning that did work so I can see Evil's great work. But anyway, that'll probably give you the tension. How do you
Dude,
feel about this booking?
it's gonna be awesome. You got to make a movie about a dude who broke every bone in his body. Like, you got to figure out what drives a guy like that, dude. You got to figure out why a guy would
Yeah.
jump like 40 school buses on a motorcycle.
I think in those days it was just like to break these records and it was like be the first one to do something. And now I feel like everybody's done it now. But yeah, and plus also people are not that insane to keep doing that. Like, yes, we still have the BMX guys and the fucking motocross guy. I think it's sort of gone into that now versus these people that risk their life jumping over like, I don't know, 40 cars, like you said. 'Cause I don't
Yeah.
think that's even happening anymore, right? That's
I
not like
mean,
that's
it
like
probably
there's no
is.
like modern day Evil Knievels, right?
Dude, I don't know. So growing up in Utah, snowmobiling was a big thing, right? And so they
Oh
had
yeah,
these
yeah,
shows called like Slednecks, like rednecks but Slednecks. And dude,
yeah.
snowmobiles are the scariest machines. They are so powerful. But yeah, so I think people are still doing it, but you only see it on like the Chive. That's where you would see it. But Evil
Yeah. No,
Knievel was like that legend, dude. He created he was Daredevil, right? That was the word that everybody
right.
said. Daredevil, Evil
Yeah.
Knievel.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, just something maybe to look forward to. I don't know if it's definitely happening, but I thought that seemed pretty cool. Okay, here's another more like larger concept. I always like to mix in a couple concepts that we can argue about, bigger picture feelings on something. So I've noticed this a bunch of times because sadly, because of the Wally Report, I'm on social media all the time looking at my goddamn reels and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't used to be a big social media Barty, and now I've been dragged into this annoying world with all of
And you
you.
pulled me
So
back into Instagram with you. I'm happy to
I
be with
pulled you
you.
back in, baby.
At
Yeah, we're
least I have
plowing
a
reels
friend in
now.
it. But yeah, now we're back in.
Yeah, that's clean. We're plowing reels. So listen. So I've seen a couple clips of Tarantino talking, and I want to argue with Tarantino live on the Wally Report. I want to take Tarantino on. What he's been saying is that he's like, and this is perfect because you just listened to my first Wally Report. You saw my feelings on the history of film, my history to the television explosion, kind of in my eyes, the decline of film, which I'm sure you would probably argue. Tarantino is claiming that like he likes some of the new shows. He knows
Which
that they're
ones?
quality, knows that they're kind. He didn't mention. He just said yes. Some. I'll tell you his claim here. I'll tell you what he's about to say that pissed me off. So he says yes, I like some of the TV. Blah blah blah. I get he's like I know it's on a higher level now and it's film quality, like we talked about with The Sopranos and all the new stuff with Succession and all these great things, right? But Tarantino's claim is even when it's in a great show, it's still a fucking soap opera. That film is still superior. That TV is still like, yes, even on a good show, you're sort of just still watching a fucking soap. And I want to go toe to toe with him. I see his point. Yes, we're kind of all watching these like better soaps, I guess, with the same characters, going on different seasons and having these things and always coming back to. But I would disagree. And I would say that what he's forgetting, bro, and this is good because you listened to my first episode. My issue with film is this. You're trying to tell a whole story in 2 hours. I don't care how genius you are. Everything's going to be rushed. It's not, you don't have the proper character development. You
I
don't
disagree.
have time to do anything. And so you rush everything. It ends up being not as impactful. You're like, I don't want to. Plus, you want to be in a world for longer, baby. I don't want to be in a world for an hour and 45 minutes. What if I like the fucking thing and now I got to wait 3 years for a sequel? It's an inferior medium.
Oh my
Television
gosh.
has completely surpassed it. It's not even a
No.
question anymore. Then the other
No.
part, and I'll let you chime in with the Bronco disagreements. The other thing is, film is so much about these stupid money making mechanisms and these formulaic nonsense things. And it's the new comedy, the new horror, the new this. They don't even care if they're good anymore. They just need to be entertaining and fill people in the seats and get the fucking popcorn. And yes, there's a couple foreign films that are still good, right? But it's like, yes, there's the whiplashes and things like that pop up. But anyway, so I think Tarantino is wrong,
I
baby.
love how
And
fired up you are.
I think
love it.
I think that he's ashamed for saying it. I get his point. Like, yeah, like me liking Cobra Kai, fine, I'm watching a fucking soap. But there's much higher quality shows now. Anyway, let's get the Bronco response.
No, I mean, I would not say it's an inferior medium. I think that's just wild for you to say that. That's outlandish. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean,
it's different, man. It's a different medium. It's like comparing chalk pastel to oil painting. You know what I mean? It's a different medium. You're not going, the audience isn't making the same agreement. And that's such a big part of what makes a movie cool. You just talked about Whiplash, right? I don't care about the kids. I don't want to see a season about that kid. I don't give a shit. They only gave us what was important. I wouldn't watch 10 hours of that.
Once in a while, you could be right. We're okay. Yeah, that story just needed to be 2 hours. But most of the time, now, it's a great story.
Yeah. But that's what it is. It's
longer form, bro.
That's true.
Like I was thinking about, I can't remember what it was recently that I was thinking, oh my God, if this had just been a show, it would have been 1,000 times better. But anyway, that happens to me. A lot of times I'm watching movies and I'm just like, I mean, it's not always the case, but anyway, so Tarantino's making that claim. It got me pissed. Continue. I want to know the Broncos.
Well, I think one of the things that has become the money-making machine, I think TV is the bigger money maker than film. I think you're just wrong for saying that. Because when you walk in to get one of these shows made, I'm sure they're asking you, what do you have planned? Is there a prequel? Is there a spinoff? Like, look at all the different spinoffs they make of these shows, right? And so you have a great character on one season, and then they dilute it and do a spinoff of another thing. I mean, I'm not going to say Better Call Saul is a dilution, but that's, Breaking Bad was like pivotal TV. Like when I read that pilot, I was shocked at how fucking enthralling that story was. It was so intense that I couldn't watch some of it because it was so real that I had to turn it off. And that's amazing. You want to watch that.
Yeah. So let me just ask you one question here, though, to prove a point. When's the last time that you've actually looked at the movies on iTunes and have been like, wow, this is a great assortment? Or have you left pissed and quit the app?
Yeah, I quit the app a lot, man. I quit the app a lot, but it's not because of the movie. It's
what new movies are ever coming out that you're jacked up about?
Yeah.
They don't exist, baby.
You're talking to a guy with two kids.
Fucking year.
But I think Anora just won, one can. I don't know if it won Best Picture. Did it just win Best Picture? I
think so. I don't even pay attention to the Oscars. I won't even do it. I'm not Should I watch it? Did you watch it? Is it decent?
I didn't watch it. But
yeah, see, we don't even watch it. We didn't even watch it. That's telling, that's telling, baby.
But I don't think that they're money-making machines. Like, you and I joked because you'd never seen Get Out, which to me is one of the best movies of the last, of our generation. And they made it for $5 million.
I just don't like horror, bro. And I know you're saying it's a little bit different, but I'm not gonna watch horror. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna give money to these people. I'm not gonna give money to
the audience of this podcast. Write to this dude and tell him that he has to see Get Out, because that is shameful that you haven't seen that, dude. It is so good.
I'll put it on, but I'm just so And I will agree with you. And I know we got to get to the top 5 soon, but I will agree with you that, and if I also stated it in my episode 1, which you watched recently, that the downfall of TV also over the last 4 years is, yes, this is now the new money-making thing. Yeah. Now it's the gold rush. Remember I said after 2020, yes, now there's the gold rush, just like there was for film forever. And that's what, to me, ruined the film industry. And now there's the gold rush here. And now all this is getting diluted and watered down, and shitty shows are coming out all the time. So I agree with you. But I still feel like there's more quality TV I'm looking forward to than film.
And a lot of the... I think you're right. And I think something that we didn't talk about with the downfall of TV and sort of the maybe not a downfall, but like the bottom of the wave, because it'll come back, is
Yeah.
that the consolidation of all these companies. So, the people who greenlit all these shows at HBO, they left when Discovery bought Warner Brothers. You know what I mean? So these people
Yeah.
build something so incredible, and then a massive corporation comes and buys that network, and you can't do the same thing anymore. It justifies your fear about Paramount owning Showtime. It's like, pretty soon you have a different boss, and then you can't do what you want to do anymore.
Yeah, so I'm with you. All right, so I think with that, we've covered most of the topics. We've come to the top 5. Before
Here we go.
we get into the top, let's do one more commercial break here. Okay, and we're back. We're back so heavy for the top 5 shows of February 2025. And here's the funny thing is, remember how last month when you came on, I was Mr. Negative. I'm like, this is the worst top 5. This is the worst month in history. But then I had hope for February.
Yeah.
And I feel much better I feel positive towards all of my shows this month. It's a whole different world. I wouldn't say it's a dramatic new world. I still have issues with half of them, but they're much more like on the positive side versus me just like filling a goddamn list.
Yeah.
Right?
I think a lot of it was like, I guess I'll put this on here.
Yes. Yes. And you see I don't know if you noticed, have you seen this shirt, by the way?
That's just,
see what
dude,
this shirt
that's
is?
just, I like that a lot.
Is that a clean shirt?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
Okay. That might come up. So this was one I did not expect that I was going to have on my list. Number 5 show of February 2025, Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix.
Huh.
I don't know if you've heard about it yet. I'll explain it to you and to the viewers. It got an 80. I always let me give the numbers first. 82% on the tomato meter, 74 on the popcorn. So the audience doesn't like it as much as the critics, which we've seen that seems to be a theme recently. And I'm giving it, and I haven't really given a lot of 70s. All of my top 5s are in the fucking 70s this month. I'm giving it a 71 on the Wally Report. So I'm a little bit lower than the fans usually because I'm a little bit more critical. Starring Caitlin Dever, Ashley Zuckerman, and Alicia Debnam Carey. I hope I'm saying her name right. All were great. Now, okay, let me set the stage for what the hell this is. This is based on an unbelievable and shocking true story of Belle Gibson. Have you heard about this lady yet? She is Australian. She fakes having cancer and then is able to like develop. And you actually might remember this since you're an Apple Barney like me. Do you remember when the Apple Watch first came out? Did you used to still watch like the WWDC fucking things? And I would watch all like there was this app called the Whole Pantry, and there was like one of the first ones that they had on the first Apple Watch, like way back in like 2015. And it's like a health and wellness app. She started it, but on the premise of, hey, I've had cancer, and then now because I'm vegan and because I do this, I cured it.
Sure.
So she's psycho, she's crazy, and so I don't want to give too much away, but people start catching on to maybe that she's like kind of BS. She's mental, but she's like really well put together, and so it's a fucking insane story. Honestly, I found a lot of the show infuriating. I gotta say, there was stuff I didn't like. Some characters really bugged me. That character can be very annoying in certain areas. But there was enough to keep me watching, even down to how the music in The Social Network's so amazing because it's your boy Trent Reznor, which you probably know.
Yeah.
They almost make the music sound a little Social Networky, and I'm like, oh God, just that. I like that. And then the main girl who plays Belle Gibson, and this is another big topic for you, okay, her name's Caitlin Dever. She is American, and I don't know if you listened to my Dexter interview, but I went on and on about how no Americans can do great British accents or Australian accents, but in reverse, there's all these Brits and Australians constantly doing American accents, and you don't know. I mean, sometimes it's when they're famous, but sometimes you're like, wait, what the fuck? That guy's Australian? You're shocked.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I can say maybe in a very long time, she did a spot on Australian accent. I thought for 100% she's Australian, even though she's from Dope Sick. Did you watch Dope Sick? The shows on the show on the Sackler family, on the Oxycontin. She plays a redneck girl from West Virginia. And I'm thinking, damn, another Australian must have played a fucking redneck girl in Australia. But no, she's actually American and did an amazing Australian accent. She's fabulous in it. I mean, she's unbelievable because that character is so unhinged and psycho. So anyway,
I
with
watched
all of
Caitlin
that,
Deaver in a show on about like I think it was a kidnapping show. I got to go back and look because one of the characters in Severance this season
yeah,
is also in it. And I got to go back, but I think Caitlin Deaver is really good, really just like a standout young actor. But dude, how could the algorithm be so strange? How could the algorithm be so strange that this is your top show and Netflix has not recommended this to me at all?
Well, it's not my top. It's my number 5 show. It's not my top show.
5
Get
show.
this straight.
My bad.
Okay. Just I don't. Yeah. So it should be popping up because it's right there on the. It's one of the top. Like everybody's watching it right now. It's like a big thing. You know, there's like the hot show of the fucking week. I wouldn't say it's amazing, and there's a lot of infuriating moments. And there's like, oh my god, I don't even know how I got through it, honestly, because there's some. She's just really hard to deal with, but she does it so brilliantly.
Like and Tony Soprano's mom.
Fucked. Yeah, I mean, not that bad. No one's as bad as Tony Soprano's mom, because at least you sometimes like this character. She goes through her up and downs, right? But you just like, but overall, it's well done. It's well shot. It's all in Australia, and there's really cool stuff of the Gold Coast and all these great areas you hear about. And it's just, and everybody loves just a psycho scandal. It's hard for us to not get gripped into it. I think, the Bronco household might like this. Anyway, okay. Number 4 show of February 2025. I'm switching it up. Court of Gold, also on Netflix. Netflix did well this month. Court of Gold. And here's the weird thing about sport docs. The tomatoes are not getting on them quickly. It's been a theme. No tomato meter yet. No popcorn meter yet. I'm giving it a 72, so 1 notch above Apple Cider Vinegar. It's a pretty decent sport doc on U.S. men's basketball in Paris. Great interviews with Durant, Curry, especially Durant. He steals the show, which I was kind of surprised by because I don't pay attention. We haven't talked that much about, but modern day hoops, I don't pay attention anymore because the Lakers have been bad. They've been pissing me off mostly. So I don't really pay attention to all these new stuff. I don't give a shit. But my uncle recommended it. Tate was like, you got to watch Court of Gold. I'm going to denounce him somewhat and say this wasn't great, that he's an Olympics guy. And he also loves these sport docs. I like historical ones that go back like 40 years and tell the whole life of somebody. I don't really care about a doc that happened on something fucking last year.
I was just going to say, when was the Olympics? Like, how did this come out so quick? It just
happened in 2024, you know? So here's what I'll say about it. It's not The Last Dance by any means, and I hold that as the highest esteem. I feel like if you make a sport doc, you should be reaching for those stars. But for basketball fans and for Olympic fans, it was enjoyable. I think they wasted too much time with behind-the-scenes stuff, not enough footage of the games. That pisses me off because I'm a sport junkie. I don't give a shit about interviewing these guys on the French team for like a half an hour. I'm like, fucking get to the game here. And they even skipped the U.S. quarter final match, which pissed me off because they have to have so many side interviews. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But, I also disliked... and you'll like this because you're a camera guy. You know when you're trying to watch a sport doc and they don't just give you the regular view of the field and they want to give you all these like fancy side views from like, and I know you probably like it because you're like, oh, that's a cool shot that we don't get to see normally. But I don't mind a couple of those, but then get me back to my standard view as you're telling the story. It was all shot in weird views. And I'm like, bro, like and so that annoys me. But
it takes you out of the experience.
Yeah, because I'm used to seeing basketball in a certain way, and I love the traditional lens, if you will, right? The traditional screen that you see it in. Okay. However, I trudged through it. I wasn't that pumped, but what saved the doc was the final episode. I don't know if you know what happens with the story, but the whole Steph Curry, the explosion in the final 2 games, he goes ballistic, bro. And I almost had forgotten because I don't pay attention to the Olympics as much as like the other regular sports.
Sure.
And I missed a lot of the games because it's in weird fucking times. I'm like, I was probably working. But bro, the shit that he did was so unbelievable. It was like this. Do you know what he did? The
No,
tear that he went on, the threes that he hit. He basically
no.
saved. We almost lost the semifinals. He saves us in the final quarter. It's
It was
unbelievable
against France, right?
Serbia was in the semis, and then France was in the finals.
Yeah.
And again, it was another great game. And I gotta say, like, I'm not a huge Steph guy because I'm such a Lakers guy, and I know he's the greatest shooter ever, but he's a Warrior, so I can't love him like
Yeah.
as much
And
as
his
my
mouthpiece
Laker
thing like
greats.
makes me
That
annoyed.
bugs me. The
Oh.
mouthpiece thing, just sort of like the way he saunters around. I don't like his movements really.
But is he good?
But
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
but he showed an unbelievable feat of brilliance, and with that, it's one of the greatest sports performances ever. And Steve Kerr, who's the coach, even says that this could be one of the greatest basketball performances, the final two games. I don't want to give stuff away, but so you should check it out. For sports people, for basketball, for Olympic people, it's still a good time. Not everybody's as critical and angry like me constantly with poking holes and stuff, and you might just have fun. Does this sound
Cool.
appealing?
Yeah, I love basketball, dude. I think basketball is so fun to watch. It's my favorite sport to watch. I would say the NBA and college football are my two favorite sports to watch. And but like you said, the Warriors are like the Monstars, so I can't really get behind it. You know, I'm a Utah Jazz sleaze, so I always root for the underdog.
So I know I don't want to go on tangents, but when you said college football, you really just got my blood boiling. So just let me go into that for a second.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I will finally give you this past year that there actually was a tournament. But to say that college football is in your top two to me is totally insane. I want to get your take on a second. But college football until this year has been the most egregious, shameful system, the worst playoffs in the history, the worst playoff system maybe in the history of sports.
Of course.
And yet you're still putting it as a top two? How can you say that with this?
I'm just saying I like watching it. I just like watching it. I'm not saying that the NCAA is garbage, dude. The NCAA is trash. And it's especially maddening with college football can't figure it out because the Sweet 16, like the March Madness tournament, is so awesome. And so they already have a format to do the perfect thing. But dude, the college football players, one of the reasons why I love it is because like not all of them are going to make it. You know what I mean? They're not all going to make it through the season. And that's been Utah's problem. And so I don't think you can put young athletes in college football through a process like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's taken so long to evolve, but it's getting way better. This tournament was good. This
tournament was way better. You know, I'm an Irish guy. So we got to the finals and then we barneyed, but but you see my point? Like, think how all those teams that actually got into the semifinals were all the higher ranked teams that never would have been in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm just yelling at you for my past anger towards college football.
No, and the Cinderella stories of March Madness are so fun to watch.
That's what I'm saying.
They're so fun.
Anyway, exactly. So it just was always so frustrating to me that I'm like, bro, you have 1,000 fucking colleges and 4 make it. It used to be 2. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway.
But I will not watch a single college basketball game until March Madness. Like that. But I will watch. I'll watch college football.
Like a regular season college football.
Yeah, like on a Saturday, I'll turn on college football.
Yeah, I can barely do that now that the Irish are good again, and now it actually means something because you could actually lose twice and fucking still make it in the goddamn playoffs. Fine.
What do you think about Coach Prime?
I like Coach Prime. I like him because I like his flash. He's from my gen. I'm a Dion guy.
Oh, dude, yeah,
for sure. I want to see. He's probably going to get an NFL gig at some point.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm surprised. Okay. So we'll come back to that. We could do a whole side sports show.
Yeah,
when you said that, it just I had to, I'm a little bit triggered here today. I'm hot
so
today,
funny.
as you can tell. So, okay, number 3 show of February 2025. And the shirt is showing it off. Cobra Kai, Season 6, Part 3. Also on Netflix. That's 3 Netflix shows in a row. They're taking over the count. Remember how I do the count? Of course, they're not going to be the winners, most likely, for the month. But, okay, 91% on the tomato meter.
Wow.
79 on the audience. I know. Yeah, The critics love fucking Cobra Kai at the fucking Rotten Tomatoes. 79 on the audience score, the popcorn meter. I'm giving it a nice 73. Okay. Still, it's under classified hot because I got to just say, like, listen. Yes, we love Ralph Macchio. We love William Zabka. I even love Martin Kove. That's the original fucking bad guy. I love how it's like,
he saved that show for me. Because a good villain will save a show.
Yes. Yeah, he's such a good villain. He's such a fucking good villain.
He's so good.
Yes. So here's my thing, though, and we talked about this before. The first 3 seasons, I think, are brilliant. And then the last 3,
Disney
4, 5, and 6, they get way
Disney.
too cheesy, way too heartwarming. It's like the writers changed. It's like they instead of they lost the comedy, maybe because they had so many young fans of it, so they're appealing to fucking like 12-year-olds. I don't know what happened. So it definitely was disappointing, but then they still just do enough because I'm so emotionally invested to just keep me around. And I always go back to it. I'm like, fuck. And I like
because you want to see
stuff.
what they do. You like the characters. You're invested in the characters. You want to see what they do.
Yeah, and I love Johnny, and I like Kreese, and even as funny as Daniel kind of more and more annoys me in this from loving him, as a kid to being, I don't know if I'm a huge Daniel guy, but I like some of the kids. Like, they do a good job of having you like some of the kids, some of the adults, some of the good guys, some of the bad guys. I even like Silver, that bad guy, because he reminds me of a fucking like 90s like karate fucking B movie bad guy, and I watched all that shit. So before I go and give my analysis, are you caught up on all of the Kai? Have you watched even all the latest sods?
No, I mean, I haven't seen any of season 6, but I'm pretty sure I'm caught up until season 6.
Okay.
So but I think this show rules. It's been just so fun, and it's one of the ones before I had my second kid that we would like mark the date in our calendar, like we're gonna binge Cobra Kai today.
I like that you like it because usually I get in arguments. Christopher thinks it's shame. John kind of liked it. I like that we're in sync because usually we're arguing. So this is great.
Yeah.
So okay. I think that's part 2. There's 3 different parts. I don't think a show has ever done this too, but they started doing the breaking up the final season would be part 1 and then make you wait 4 months and they do part 2 like they did with a bunch of different shows. This one, they did fucking 3 parts, which is crazy. I think part 2 is the best of the parts. This one was good. It wasn't as great as I wanted, but I will say, like, it's just still too cheesy and heartwarming and Disney. They fucked it.
Is it ended though? Did they end it?
It finally is done. It's done. Finally over. This is the final episode, and I do believe that the show became way too cheesy, but they did a good job with the ending. I love the final. Usually I always have an issue with the ending, as we talked about before, because I liked how you've coined endings are hard, which is true. That's one of the Bronco key sayings on the show now. Okay. But I will say they did a good job. You felt good. There's one mistake that they made with the bad guys, one writing mistake that I'm forever going to be pissed about. And I'm just going to let you watch it. They did something with the bad guys that was not just in my eyes, but overall, and what they almost brought it back to why, it almost makes me want to rewatch season 1 because the way, and I don't want to give anything away because you haven't seen it yet, but they end it really nicely with almost giving you the season 1 feelings of okay, this is why I like the show.
Yeah.
They end it nicely with each character. It's kind of like you get your, I wouldn't say fairy tale, but you get a good ending. You get a good mix of some good, some bad. So we're like, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Right.
First frame, last frame.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we've said it before. This is not a dramatic masterpiece. This is not, it only gets critical success because it is what it is. It's supposed to be a cheesy 80s, 90s action movie show. And so if you take it at what it is, then you will like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't think that it's some, and I usually don't allow for that. As you know, anything that usually has cheese or bad writing or whatever, I'm out. But for some reason, this is the cheese. Yeah. Network shame. But this I can live with. Okay. Now we're getting into the big hitters, and you probably know where one is going to lie, and you're probably wondering where the other one's going to fucking lie because you're a caught up.
I wonder if we agree about this though, because I mean, this isn't my list.
I think we disagree.
I would have reordered already.
I think we disagree from what your comment from earlier. Okay, and this could change as we get into next month.
Yeah.
Number 2 show of February 2025, The White Lotus on Max. Okay. 95% of the tomato meter, 89% on the popcorn meter. So again, the critics like it more than the audience, but it's actually both really, really high scores. I'm going to give it, as of now, because we've only seen 3 episodes right now, a 77 on the Wally Report. It's classified
That's
hot.
a pretty good rating.
It's not. Yeah, see, you're getting better. I told you it's a better month. It's a better month, baby. It's classified hot, but it's not an 80s show right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Listen, the phenomenon is back. We're very happy to have it back. This time starring Walton Goggins, Parker Posey, Jason Isaacs, and just let me pause on that. I'm so good with facial recognition of actors. I'm annoyingly good. And I pause it and all the time and annoy Christina.
Oh, my wife hates me for this, dude. Oh, she hates me for this.
And I fucking interrupt because I have to be the Mr. Know-It-All with the actors. I will admit live, I did not catch that was fucking Jason Isaacs was from Harry Potter. I didn't catch it. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Oh, yeah, Malfoy's dad, dude. But also,
I didn't catch it. Lucius Malfoy.
Dude, you got to see Black Hawk Down. He is incredible in Black Hawk Down.
I saw it a million years ago, but I don't remember that character in it. So, okay, that's interesting.
He also
beats
the shit out of Matt Damon in the Green Zone, which is really fun.
You're dialed in. I like that you know these things. Okay, Michelle Moynihan. No, it's fine. Michelle Moynihan. And then a treat of Patrick Schwarzenegger. I mean, I think he's fantastic in it. It's Arnold's son. And he's plays he's playing the douchey character perfectly. I love those characters, baby. Just like Shane in season 1 was maybe one of my favorite fucking characters, was like the frat boy douche husband. Because, hey, they have a role to play. There's always one of those guys in every group. And he's just doing it so spot on, amongst many others. But those are the ones that really are sticking out to me, right? There's Leslie Bibb, too, who was like Michelle Moynihan's friend, who was from fucking Popular a million years ago when we were young. So, I know you probably have a bunch to say on this, so let me get through my notes, and then I'll do the Bronco dissertation, and the Bronco. I'm sure you're going to give me the arguments. Okay, I feel like this is why it's still in the 70s. I like the show. I just still feel like we're never going to have the magic of season 1 again. Like there's something about the White Lotus season 1 magic. All the characters, the families, Armand, who's the greatest fucking character of all time. It's so hard to top it. I liked season 2, but it still was never like that amazing original magic that we all got swept away. And I feel like it's sort of the same thing here. I'm enjoying it. It's White Lotus. It's Mike White. Mike White. He's unbelievable. And I'll get to the cinematography in a second, which I know you want to talk about because that's your sleaze. But it still seems to be just season 1 light. It's just the characters. I don't think they have the same chemistry. The writing is maybe just not as gripping. It's so hard to they can never replace Armand, and now this new guy who anyway. But it's still pretty well done. The writing's still great. The acting is top notch. And this is what I got to say really quickly is I think the cinematography and the way things are shot is what's really still doing it for me. And I'm just thinking like, I almost had to look it up. You'll like that I'm actually getting more technical with you, bro. I had to look up who the fuck does Mike White have as the director of photography? This guy named Ben Cutchins. Okay. I just want to pause and get your thoughts on it. Is this the best cinematography ever in show history?
No.
I mean, it's fucking the best.
It's not the best. It's not the best. It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
I couldn't even fuck with it then, bro. I mean, I like, and maybe I'm having recency bias because I'm not thinking about things for the last 20 years and this is fresh in my mind. But I'm like, man, this is like, how do you beat the Lotus with the way things are shot? Everything's so rich and vibrant and the shots in the water. Anyway, you don't agree? It's got to be. Yeah.
The first season of True Detective visually was unreal, dude.
But it was
visually
dark and gross and evil and like,
but it was so well shot. And I know exactly the moment when I went like, this is incredible, is when Matthew McConaughey, they go back to his like stomping grounds in Houston, Texas or whatever. And they do that continuous shot of him like going through that drug that drug neighborhood where the cops have the whole thing cordoned off.
Oh
He's
yes,
going
yes.
house to
Sorry,
house,
yeah, yeah. That
bro.
was clean. That was
Oh
clean.
my
Yeah, yeah.
god!
All
But
right, I'll give you that.
White Lotus is beautiful. A buddy of mine, I was on an Amazon commercial, and the DP of that Amazon commercial, he said, like something I noticed about this season is that it's very shallow depth of field. Like you don't get to see a lot of what's happening downrange. It's all very in front of the camera. And one of the things that I loved about Palm Springs, the movie Palm Springs, is that there's so much depth. Like if you watch Sicario, there's so much depth to a shot. Like you see the characters, and obviously we're focusing on the characters, but then you see so much about their environment behind them. And so that was his criticism, is that it's a little shallower. But I like how they're using the monkeys to like kind of foreshadow danger, and they're squawking. It's cool. It's a beautiful show. I like it. I would switch. Obviously, I'll give
with
you
what
mine,
you
but
think I'm
yeah,
going
we'll
to.
talk.
One other thing that I'll say about the show, and then I want to get, before I go to my number one, I want to get your top two, which is probably going to be my number one.
Yeah.
Now, is the other thing that I like is that at least I love how each season they, at least, even though it's always a new cast and a new storyline, they do bring in one or two characters as like this through line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like how this season there's two.
Mm-hmm.
They have the original masseuse, and then fucking Greg, my boy Greg is back, baby. But I don't know if I love how they're doing Greg's character. Like he's being such a and I don't want to give things away, but he's being kind of he's not. He used to be more fun in that first season, and like, dude, if you have all this money now, and you're chilling on the island with a young, beautiful girlfriend, why are you in a bad mood? What's even the point of being in a bad mood now? Because he's being dragged to these dinners. I already feel like there's enough bad moods going on. Yeah. Why are they making anyway? But I love that they have those two characters that are now back. But if people don't know White Lotus, this is a groundbreaking show directed by Mike White. We talked about it before. I still haven't rewatched Orange County, but I'll pull it on the list. It's got Bad Tomatoes, but I think I'm going to do it for you. All comedies have Bad Tomatoes, though. Most of them have Bad Tomatoes. So I'll get on it, but it's like each season is different. It's a masterpiece show on HBO. There's always a murder. There's always a grouping of new families. I don't think it's as good as season one, but hey, we've only gotten 3 episodes in. There still is potential for greatness.
Yeah, I think you should say that. We have the benefit of saying those other ones are better because we have the full story. We don't have the full story yet.
Right. Do you agree with me on my rating so far? You would actually rank it. Well, you're more generous with your rankings. You would put it higher.
Well,
you would
I
give
don't
it
know.
80s right now. You're talking 80s.
No, dude, it's hard because you have such a comprehensive rating system that yeah, I mean, I think if you add all those up, you're probably spot on. I'm like, I love movies and TV, so I'm like, oh, you're out there, you're doing it, way to go, let's give you an A. You know what I mean? Like, but because I think it takes so much to get something made, that the fact that they're able to make something like this at such a high level year after year after year, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy it's back. I'm really looking forward to crushing it the whole season.
Okay, so the point I wanted to make, just so you're clear though on my rankings, I don't always think of the 70s means a C, the 80s means a B, and the 90s means an A. Okay? Yeah. Think of it as more of a classified hot is 75 and up. That means a great show. So don't always think like, so if you're getting in the 80s, I'm not saying that's a B. I'm saying that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Just so you know, so in case you're confused by my percentiles, don't like go to grade school percentage. Because like for me, for example, like Breaking Bad's like a 94 or something. You know what I mean? Like, and that's my top show ever. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm so strict with my rankings, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to just fucking give you 94s when
I love it.
Maybe you see what I mean? So like, I think you've done
a really great job with the rankings.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure you were clear on how that works. Okay. So, before we move on though, I want to get the Bronco. So I'm assuming that this is your number one show. That's what you're alluding to? That's your number one show.
Yeah, we can just say it. It's definitely my number one. And I'll talk to you about why I don't agree with you about your number one. But White Lotus is it's so fun. And I think one of the things about, I keep going back to Arrested Development, The Office, these like shows that I think are the best written shows ever, comedies, because everybody's the main character. I think Mike White is so good at writing a show. If you go back and watch
Mm,
Orange County, you'll see what I'm talking about. Every character is the main character, and there's
that's
space for them
interesting.
to be, like he gives them room to roam as their own little main character, and you get to see these sides of them where they are the most important person in the room, and that's cool. Also, you didn't mention the woman who plays Mook, the receptionist. She's in
Yeah.
Blackpink, dude. She's in one of the biggest bands on the planet.
Oh, is that why she's famous? I don't even know what the hell that is,
Yeah,
dude. I have no
she's
idea
a
what you're talking
K-pop
about.
superstar, dude.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm not a K-pop guy, but I did hear like that she had like she was like very popular. I didn't know
yeah.
what that was from. So I'll go to my number one, and I'll say, listen, I did debate it in my head for a little bit. Should it be Severance? Should it be The White Lotus? And I'll tell you, I have issues with Severance too, which I'm going to talk about, but I still feel overall right now so far we've like as of today we've had 8 episodes of Severance where we've only had 3 of Lotus, and I feel like the Lotus hasn't blossomed yet. I'm still waiting for the Walton Goggins storyline to get
Yeah.
figured out. He's kind of just acting like a dick this whole time. There just was like I don't know if I'm like as like fully gripped and it totally immersed yet. I love it, but it's still like it's growing on me. Okay. Severance. Okay, so let me backtrack. The number one show of February 2025 on the Wally Report is Severance season 2, baby, for the second month in a row on Apple TV Plus. It has 97% on the tomato meter.
I don't
However,
know.
in your defense, 71 on the popcorn meter. The audience is going against it. I'm in the middle of those two. I'm still giving it a nice 81. I'm even keeping it in the 80s, baby, which is very
Nice.
unlike Wally. I think
Nice.
this is what I had it last month, and I'm saying it maintained. It went up and down certain episodes, but I thought it great performances by Adam Scott, Britt Lauer, Patricia Arquette, John Turturro, Christopher Walken, who came back in those unbelievable scenes with John Turturro. I was like, oh my God, I was on the edge of my seat with that storyline. Some fucked up shit's going on there. Okay. Like I said before, the show's spectacular. It's so unique. There's nothing like it. The tone, the world, just everything, just the set design and the vibe of it is just so weird. I will say though, season 2 definitely gets more strange, more dark, but it's still unbelievable. I mean, again, I don't want to give spoilers away, but all the storylines with Adam Scott are very gripping. All the stuff with Britt Lauer and that whole thing with the innie and the outie. I mean, they're just, yes, there's some episodes that go a little bit astray. Like they get all weird, like when they're doing those retreats. And even the last one kind of annoyed me. I finally watched it last night, but it ended so clean. It ended just, bro, that we know, like, yes. So listen, they take some liberty, but I feel like Dan Erickson is a visionary, the guy who created this. It's still just so well done. I mean, we got Stiller directing a bunch of these sods. You got to still put it above the Lotus for me, baby, because like even with the up and down episodes a little bit, there's nothing that has me more gripped and more like fully consumed and immersed and like wondering what's going to happen next. It's leading the pack right now, baby. What doth you say?
I mean, it's so beautifully shot, right? Like I think in terms of cinematography, it's so much more captivating to me than the White Lotus in that respect, where like every single thing, the way they use the environment, like, in this last episode, the waves crashing and the ice, and they make it, you get transported into their world. And that is so powerful for Severance, is that you feel like you're right there with them. And that's amazing. But
yeah,
I don't know where they're going. And it's hard for me because I'm a huge fan of the show. Like I wanted to talk to Christopher because he's seen season 1 3 times, and I want to know what he feels about this, because I'm kind of over it. I was so upset, not this last Friday, but the Friday before. My wife was like, "Are you okay? You seem really affected by this." I'm like, "What are they doing? Where are they going with this? This is alienating the audience."
Adam Scott, I don't want to give stuff away, but that storyline, what do you mean?
They are alienating the audience so hard because we're out of the world. We're in these we're so far out to use a jazz term. We're so
Yeah.
far out from the original sort of idea of the show that they're gonna have to close it really well, and I hope they do. But they've created a lot of extra world in this season.
Okay, but I not to jump in, but I would almost say like, dude, they're going to the perfect progression because you need just like his. And I know we don't do spoilers here, so I'm going to try to talk vaguely and obliquely
Sure.
here. But in the first season, remember how his buddy tried
Yeah.
to reintegrate, and then that didn't
Sure.
work so well. Now, without giving anything away, the Adam Scott storyline, that's actually perfect because I feel like the only way to fuck over Lumen and all these people is to somehow successfully do that. Go back to the off anyway. I know this is like it's
Yeah.
too much what I'm saying here right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the storyline has to go, bro. That's like I think they're and the
I
stuff
am
with Christopher
going to
Walken,
keep watching.
maybe,
Oh, dude, yeah, you know he's so
maybe
dirty.
he knows more.
You know
now
he's
than
so
what we
dirty.
thought
Oh, he's so dirty in
Walken
this.
knows some stuff.
He's
baby.
so dirty in this. Oh man, I love that scene, dude. That dinner was so like
That was
visceral.
really good.
Oh,
Yes. So
that was so visceral.
you know what I'm almost thinking that we might eventually have to do with the evolution of the Wally Report is I had some fans listening recently and they actually loved my Jinx episode because for once I went into the minutia of it. Here
Dude,
we
you
can never
crushed.
talk about the specific. You like the Jinx episode?
You
So the
crushed
issue
that
is
episode.
maybe what we need to do if this starts exploding and the trajectory of the Wally Report becomes the hottest and we have more time, maybe we do need to do a separate show where we actually get to dissect what happens in it and just have it like an asterisk that like, okay, this is a spoiler. This is what the Watch does. They have top countdowns, but then they dissect episodes. I just never wanted to do that for the viewer but here would be a great time where we'd actually want to talk about the latest episode and maybe be able to dissect it. So, hey, viewers, if you love that, maybe chime in some comments and saying, hey, you want that. You want Bronco and I to actually dissect and go into the shows. And then we'll just have a little asterisk on it being like, okay, Severance season 2 analysis episode, don't watch if you don't want spoilers, something like that, so that we can actually, because we might have to we need to start actually arguing about the storylines and talking about them specifically. You see what I mean?
I do. I'm all in, dude. That sounds so fun because Severance is on my shit list. Like I want it to be good. It's like when I talk to my 4-year-old, I'm like, you're better than this. Why are you pissing me off just to piss me off? Like, you know you don't have to do this, right?
Anyway, all right. So there's our top 5. Let's consider it one. Let's just take one before we go into the March preview. I know we're already in March, but we got some big preview for you going on here. Let's take one last little commercial break. Okay, babies, and we're back to the show. What a hot top 5. Finally, at least, like, compared to last month, at least I was positive. We have some vibe going on here. We got some good stuff. And, okay, here's the yearly count. Netflix, all of a sudden, at 4, leading the way. The most top 5 shows. It did win last year, but narrowly. Showtime still with 2. HBO Max, now it's on the board with White Lotus with 1. Disney Plus has 1. And Apple TV Plus has 1 because you don't double count. You don't, just because it's the same show. So they've only had 1 show that's on that list there. So we'll see what happens next month. Okay. And now I'm excited about this here. So the March preview. Okay. A show that already came out. I've already actually watched a little bit of it because we already are in March. I'm not a Celtics guy. You know that. I'm a Lakers guy. So it really hurts my heart to watch anything to do with celebrating Celtics. But because I'm a sports junkie above all, and especially I don't like modern NBA as much, but I'm an NBA historian. There is a new show on Max called Celtic City, and it's 8 parts. I like how long it is. You know I love huge, long sport docs like The Last Dance. I don't want these 1-2 part bullshit things. If you're going to do it fucking big and do it right. It's good so far. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but I'm going to probably get through it, even though it's going to be so heartbreaking with a lot of those Lakers Celtics years that I know too well because I have them memorized. It's a problem. But it is pretty decent. Celtic City for the sport fans. And tonight, we got 2 launches, baby. We got Gemstones, Season 4, also on Max. So HBO is going to make a little comeback this month. I know you're not fully caught up, which is a shame. You got to go back into it, baby. You got to go back. So for people that don't know, again, that's Danny McBride's outrageous comedy about the mega churches in the South. It's hilarious. It's going to be the final season. They're going to do it big. Are you still only on a couple episodes of season 1?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying to the
Yeah,
audience here?
I'm
Okay.
way behind, but a huge Danny McBride fan. Huge Danny McBride fan. So I got to go back in.
Okay, yeah, give it a shot. It goes up and down. Some of it's too outlandish and offensive, and you're just like, oh my god, like what is it? Who's writing this? And then another episode comes out, and you're like, this is the best comedy on TV. So it really goes up and down.
I'm excited.
Dark Winds also comes out tonight, season 3. We watched season 1. It's on AMC. We actually really liked season 1. It's like an interesting, kind of strange Native American show, but takes place in the 70s. And there's some sort of like supernatural witchcraft stuff actually going on. So, but it's not like some crazy, fantasy show. It just has some weird, evil, dark stuff that's maybe going on underneath the surface, but it's well acted, well written. We never got through season 2. So I'm just doing the due diligence here. We're letting the fans know when the releases happen. And then to end the month, something I'm kind of excited about. I'm hoping it's going to be okay, because you know how I am with fucking modern day comedies. Everything I start, I end up disliking, except for, a couple ones here or there, like a Gemstones, or like Platonic.
Platonic, yeah.
That one, I like Platonic. So some come out and I'm like, okay, these are decent. The Studio on Apple TV Plus, starring Seth Rogen, and Bryan Cranston's in it, and you're always going to love him. He's sort of like this new head of this movie, studio based on the big studios of today. It looks funny. It looks decent. It looks well written. It looks well shot. And I did like Platonic. So if Seth Rogen can land the plane correctly, maybe we finally get a comedy that I like, but I'm very cautiously optimistic. Have you heard about this one at all? Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I want them to make a comedy about Les Grossman. That's what I want to see, dude. I want to see that.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see Tom Cruise in a series.
It's a little too gross looking, but yeah, I don't know if I could deal with it for more than one sode. But yeah. Okay. So with that, and thanks again, Bronco. It's been a pleasure, man. You're a real top-notch guy. Did you have a real solid time here? What do you say to that?
I love being here with you, talking about this stuff. It honestly makes my day. I couldn't be happier, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So thank you for listening to the Wally Report, the world's hottest podcast. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're blasting hard on the talk, and we're heavy on the gram. At the Wally Report. That's at the Wally Report. We're also now hitting hard on the tube. Okay? We've actually been posting amazing video clips from our episodes on our social channels and new important show launch information. So don't miss out. And please make sure to comment on Spotify, comment on Instagram, comment on YouTube, bash us, go against Wally and Bronco. Tell us we're shady or tell us we're just, whichever one. But we would love to give us a little bit more interaction going. We love the comments. We love the interactions. And with that, let's jam out to our theme song one last time.